No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
SHIP Says No More is the initiative here on campus to let everyone know that we are working to end sexual assault and domestic violence. One of the things we discovered is so many people cared about this issue, but not very many people had a way to express it. So we came up with the SHIP Says No More program. It was inspired by the national program and the PA Says No More program. It also gave us a website where all of our information is at. So students have a one-stop area they can go to learn about reporting, to learn about who to talk to, who can help them.
Students can report acts of misconduct to the Dean of Students Office, Campus Police, or the Office of Social Equity. Confidential resources include the Women's Center, Counseling Center, and Spiritual Center.
We're here to help them understand their options and their resources and then support the decision that they make. So we would never tell them what to do. We're here to help them once they've decided what to do and to give them the information they need to make the best decision for themselves. So one of the things that we do when we educate is to make sure that students understand that they can be an engaged bystander. They don't have to stand by and let something happen. We try to give them some tools on, here's a website, here's information on a card, the SHIP Says No More cards, here's the person you would call, and engage everyone in this effort.
I'm Dr. Lovett. I'm the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and the Dean of Students here at Shippensburg University. In the office proper, what we can offer a student is no contact. So we can put together a no contact order between a respondent and a complainant. So if a student comes to us and said, you know what, Dr. Lovett, I'm just not comfortable with student X living in the same residence hall where I live. Could I move to another building? I'm in some classes with student X. Could you help me find a way to either get out of that class or have that person removed from the class? And the answer to all those is yes. We have a great relationship with the University Police in terms of reporting, and then we try to get them either to the Health Center, Counseling Center, Women's Center. I'm involved in some of the judicial processes. So as cases come in, I look at them. I will either send them forward as a Title IX case to be adjudicated by a judicial board, or we'll have a hearing simply as a case that needs to be heard by a board or an individual that needs to be adjudicated and a sanction given. If you do not want to go through the judicial process, we may have to go through the judicial process for a number of different reasons. We think that what happened was egregious enough that we should keep that from happening again to another student, or we may have information that allows us to want to go forward with the case because this is not the first person that the respondent has interacted with where we're getting a similar story of an outcome. We try to help them understand the gravity of what's happened to them and try to help them make a decision that's right for them.
I oversee the process for addressing and adjudicating incidents of student misconduct on our campus. I usually see students after one of the worst experiences that they've had at college. A lot of times they're vulnerable at that point. I don't know that I've seen very many of the cases that I've handled that don't involve alcohol or other drugs. So are you engaging in safe behavior that way so that you are always in control of your thoughts and your strength and your decision making, and that you have support around you if you're not, with people that you trust. And I think that, bystander intervention is very important. I was, for example, coming home late one night. I had returned from a conference, and I was filling up the state car at the gas station on King Street, and there were so many students out on Queen Street. but I observed one couple, and they were, I don't know if they were in a sprinkler or what, but it was clear to me that the woman was soaking wet. She couldn't stay on her feet, and the male was shoving her, and she was resisting him. Now, it could have been horseplay, but I heard her yelling, you know, in resistance to him, but he wasn't stopping. So initially, I used my voice because I'm still at the pump with the hose in my car to yell, "Hey, you know, you cut that out." After I finished pumping the gas, I got in the car and I drove up to the car wash, and there was a local police officer sitting there, and I explained the whole situation to her, and she went right over and talked with them. I'm a grown woman, you know, and I've got years of professional experience. It still was somewhat uncomfortable for me. So I can imagine that for students, it would be a daunting task to do it, but I think with some training, some bystander intervention training, I think that it could happen. I think that the culture of the campus needs to be changed so that students would feel comfortable knowing that they're doing a good thing for the community.
Although Shippensburg University offers a variety of services, there are other resources available off campus.
So it is the Domestic Violence and Rape Crisis Center for Franklin and Fulton counties. So we offer all kinds of services to any victim of domestic or sexual violence. So on this side of the building is all administrative offices. We do like our counseling here. We help out for protection from abuse orders over here. Like all of the community services as well as the nitty-gritty things like financial. And then on the other part of our building is actually a emergency shelter for individuals who are trying to escape domestic violence. The bystander effect is probably going to be the most effective way of stopping domestic and sexual violence. I can go out and speak my head off and it's not really going to make a difference. But the fact that there are other people in the community who take it upon themselves to, you know, I'm in a bar and I see someone that is putting a drug in someone's drink. I step in and intervene. That's going to stop a sexual assault from happening. And if I do that every single time I see something, or if someone just steps in whenever they see something happening, we're really going to reduce domestic and sexual violence that way. Really, the idea of everything that we do, the philosophy behind what we do, is to really help victims and survivors take their life back. You know, you've been in a relationship or in a situation where you've had all power and control taken away from you. We try to get that back.
So all of the YWCAs are part of a national YWCA. So all of our missions are the same, which is the elimination of racism and the empowerment of women and girls. And so through that, sort of naturally what fits under there is our sexual assault program. So that serves people of all genders and across the lifespan. And the things that we offer through that program are access to a 24-hour crisis hotline. We offer individual counseling services, group counseling services, and that can happen in a couple of different ways. So our main office is in Carlisle, but we also offer those things to our college campuses in ways that are more convenient for them. So I think that there are two different ways that bystanders can approach things. So you can do things reactively and you can do things proactively. So reactively means recognizing that you're in a situation where you might be able to intervene or to help somebody in need and responding then. So that's going and checking in with your friend at a party when they're being isolated by somebody or they seem uncomfortable when they're talking to somebody. The other thing that you can do sort of is more proactive. So that's doing things like creating the culture that we want to have on campus to say violence isn't going to be tolerated here. So that means that I might tell my friends when I'm uncomfortable when somebody tells a racist or sexist joke. So many of our victims and people who are disclosing something for the very first time or to somebody new for the very first time experience things that have to do with disbelief and make people question what happened to them or sort of deny their experience. And so the most important thing somebody can say is, I believe you.
Well, I believe students are certainly more aware of what the No More campaign's about. We've done a great job, I think, our Women's Center and others, our Women's Studies program, and various individuals across campus have done such a great job in getting the word out. We've done a lot of training around the issue of sexual assault, harassment on campus.
People are, I think, more comfortable in confronting behavior that they're doubtful about, like am I seeing something here where I need to step in and say something? And I can say that particularly on the part of our residence life staff. These cases are investigated differently than our other cases. So we needed a panel of investigators, we needed a panel of hearing board officers. It really changed the way that we do student services in this area.
I think campaigns like the No More campaign, and that one in particular, serve to generate conversation and acknowledgement of an issue. What I've seen on the campus is a much greater acknowledgement of the issue of sexual violence, and also more conversations. Just the fact that you start the conversation from the perspective that you do makes it more possible, more likely to have a thoughtful and legitimate conversation about that issue.
Since the Ship Says No More campaign launched, we have seen a lot more students coming forward with a variety of issues. So we'd often see students come forward with what we would consider very serious sexual assault issues. But there were other people now coming forward with harassment, stalking, things that we didn't see as much in the past, not because they weren't happening, but maybe students didn't know where they could go. And so now we've seen students kind of find a voice and standing up for themselves and holding folks accountable in our community that are committing acts of sexual misconduct, regardless of what they are. It's not just one thing, it's all that umbrella of things we're seeing that come forward. And seeing a lot of people, kind of also taking charge of making sure that these things aren't happening on our campus. So fraternities and sororities are bringing us in to do more education. We've revamped some of the things we do for orientation to make sure students know that they're coming into a community that cares about these issues, and do some of that education. So we've seen both of that. We've seen a couple more reports than before, and we're seeing more interest in education and prevention. I think one person makes a difference all the time. I think it is taking advantage of those opportunities where you can give someone information, provide someone with support, call someone if you have a question, take someone to our website, send them the website through your email. There are all kinds of things that we can do depending on the opportunities that come up. I think it is important to our community for everybody to feel like they have a voice in ending sexual assault and domestic violence. If we are going to take these numbers from 1 in 5 women or 6% of college men that are experiencing sexual violence, and that's violence. If you broaden that to sexual misconduct, you are looking at much higher percentages of people that are experiencing things like harassment or stalking or intimate partner abuse. If you look at those numbers, if we want to diminish that, and what we want to do here at Shippensburg is eliminate that, it will take all of us. It will take every one of us to be like, this is a safe place to be. It's a place where people can get equal access to their education, and a place where we are inclusive of all. If we're going to achieve that, it will take all of us to do that. It's not one department's job or one student organization's job. It's everybody's job. And I think that we are trying to provide some powerful resources and information for students and for faculty and staff and anyone that's in our community to be able to feel like they have a role in that.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.
No more.